As Bill said, and a lot of people like to tease me, I am an old farm boy, and I'm pretty proud of that. I still have a farm by Lansing, Michigan. We put up about 25,000 bales of hay here. We make maple syrup, raise some dairy cattle that my kids show. And the little girl on the tractor there is my youngest. She's in college now, but last week she won dairy showmanship for the state of Michigan at Michigan State University. So that's my little proud dad plug right there. The reason I share with you about what I do in my spare time is because I've grown up with trucks. I've had trucks my whole life, from compacts to 1 tons, and I use my truck as a truck. It was kind of funny because the other day somebody asked me, he says, well, I always like to know what kind of car you drive. And I said, well, I drive a C-cab, long deck Tundra. He goes, no, not you. What kind of car do you have at home? What's your wife drive? I said, well, my wife drives a Tacoma. And he goes, okay, what's your youngest daughter drive? And I go, she drives a Tacoma. And we have trucks, we're a truck family. So, because we use trucks and trying to understand that truck market itself, we all know that the number one reason people buy trucks is capability. But as an owner or someone who uses a truck, or sometimes as some of the engineers around our office say, I've used my truck, QDR is also very important. And that's something that Toyota has built its heritage on, is our QDR. One of the things that when we kick off a new project at work, I love to show the engineers, is this Top Gear video from BBC. So they took a Hilux truck and they tried to destroy it. And I love to tell everybody, this is our DNA. You know, these are engineers in our office. This is our DNA. We're not saying we want to design trucks that you can burn or drop trailers on or blow up. But the fact of the matter is, globally, our trucks are recognized as this indestructible image, or overbuilt image, as we like to say. And we need to continue that DNA, continue that heritage as we launch new trucks. And to help us prove that out, some of the things that we've done, we put trucks on ranches down in Texas. We have a ranch up in Montana, and we've taken the owner's 3/4 tons or 1 tons away and gave them our half-ton truck and said, use it like your truck, and go out and do whatever you normally do. Drive it for 100,000 miles. We're going to take it back, and we're going to strip it down to every nut and bolt and look at what went right and what went wrong. And the reason we do that is because we have our test standards. We know how to test it according to what we think people use it as. But sometimes it's hard to imagine how people really do use their trucks. And we know people in the market, if you tell them they can do this, then they're going to do that plus a little bit extra. So this is our Montana truck here. And this gentleman owns a 55,000 acre active cattle ranch. He also builds log homes, and you saw some of the logs up there. And he's towing up to 16,000 pounds with this truck. And again, this is a half-ton truck. So I'm not recommending anybody go out and try to tow 16,000 pounds with their truck. But this is the type of abuse or overuse that occurs out in the field. And we want to know, beyond our own standards or beyond what we want to test for, what happens when people actually use that truck. Funny thing is, the truck we had down at the ranch in Texas, when we took the first one back and we started tearing it down, the rancher says to me, he says, I have one complaint about your truck, and then I'll tell you something else. I said, well, what's your complaint? He says, you know, the ground height, the frame rail to the ground isn't enough for what I'm doing. He has 1 ton trucks, and naturally a 1 ton truck has a higher ground clearance there. Okay, I can understand that. I said, well, what other comments you have? He says, I didn't break a spring. He says, all my trucks break springs down in Texas, and if you ever driven in the ranches in Texas, it's pretty harsh. He says, I always break rear springs about 40,000 miles. He said, I didn't break a spring. He goes, I want to know why. And I said, well, you know, naturally we make it tougher than everybody else. I said, no, the reason you break a spring is because we military wrapped the end of our springs. And that comes from our global experience, building trucks for North America, but we also build trucks for third world countries. And that's our standards. Those are the little details to help us create this indestructible image or our DNA. As Bill mentioned, we have an American truck from start to finish. The initial styling sketches were done in Newport Beach, California. We have our production styling studio in Ann Arbor, Michigan. The reason it's there is because it's right next to where we do our design development in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then the Tundra is exclusively built in San Antonio, Texas. And the reason I share that with you is because this is an initial styling sketch. And when I started this project, we sat down with the Kelty guys and Kevin Hunter's group in Newport Beach, and we talked about how we need to make a very rugged look to fit the capability of our truck. But we needed to challenge ourselves. So we brought our production engineers, we brought our design engineers, we brought our plant engineers, we brought our friends from TMS out, and together, real time, as the stylist was sketching this truck out, we were creating math data, we were studying with finite element, trying to understand, can we stamp the lines that they're creating? And this truck basically violates almost every stamping standard we have, but they've created a truck that's truly beautiful. From the development of our truck, we went out and we talked to our current customers, we talked to our competitors' customers, and I went and talked to the engineers and team members that we have that work for Toyota, that are truck guys. I said, what's good about our truck? What's bad about our truck? We really want to hear the voice of the customer. And they came back and said, powertrain capability, interior space, wireless. Styling, grade strategy can be improved. So from a grade strategy standpoint, we wanted to look at how we're offering our grades. And what you're seeing up here is 4 of our 5 grades currently. We also want to take advantage with our grade strategy, the improvement in premium grades in the market. So truck owners are buying more and more premium grades. Like I always like to tell people, is once you own a truck, it's hard not to own a truck. We notice that just having that work truck isn't good enough. They want their truck to be a reflection of their lifestyle. And what you're seeing up there is how do we improve that? And we try to do it not only with giving a visual difference of the trucks by the grades, but also the craftsmanship within the interiors and exteriors, the materials. This Platinum and 1794 edition up here, we actually went out and changed the leathers that we use in the trucks to the same leathers we put in the LS. They're our top of the line, our premium leathers. From an exterior styling standpoint, what we heard from our competitors, and we heard from the market, competitor customers from the market during some clinics, is we had our trucks up, they said your trucks are too round, too bubbly. They don't match. You say they have all this capability, but the image of the truck does not match what the truck is. So we set out to make this very bold, very chiseled look. It's a little bit more traditional. And by doing that, we raised the hood up 40 millimeters to support this new beautiful front end. And we also strengthened the horizontal character line of the truck and enhanced the wheel flares on the side itself. And like I said, looking at pictures may not tell the whole story, but when you get out and you see the truck and you see how tight the radii are on this truck, it's quite nice. And then the tailgate, we have the widest, our truck is the widest as regulation lets us have it, but it didn't look wide, so we wanted to emphasize how the true width of our truck and give that tailgate a chiseled look. And then my very favorite part is I'm a little bit old school. I like going old school, so this was my request. Please put Tundra and Boss Tundra in the back. And Kevin Hunter's group did a little bit different than my request. I thought I was just going to get the standard Tundra coming across and bossed out. They actually pushed it into the sheet metal. And the interesting thing about that is when you walk around the truck, and we have some sunlight today, when you walk around the truck, the radii in the corners and the chamfers that lead to those letters were designed so that they grab the sunlight, and as you walk around, that Tundra really jumps out and you can read it. And on the old days, we used to have to put tape on there so you could truly see it, just bring the letters out and kind of disappear, but this truly grabs the light. From an interior styling standpoint, again, what we heard from the market and a lot of you all is that our interior appearance and materials were cheap. And as Bill told you, I used to be vice president of interior design. That was like a dagger to my heart. I mean, that was really, really tough to hear. So we set out to not only improve our materials and our textures and our colors, but also the craftsmanship of our interior and the appearance of our interior. And I can, and I'm a little biased, I'll admit it, but what I'll say is I think this is the best looking interior in any truck on the road. And I would dare say I'd put this interior up against any vehicle on the road now. It's just a gorgeous interior. And it truly emphasizes the spirit of our trucks and what we're trying to do to not only let you know mechanically that we put time and effort and craftsmanship in the truck, but also those creature comforts in our truck as well. We've, to improve ergonomics, we moved the center stack, the audio and the HVAC unit over 2.6 inches. And we changed the meter to a more technical, simpler to read layout. And we added a 3.1 inch color TFT screen. For safety, we have made our audio display and backup camera standard. And this doesn't only help with safety, but also if you've ever tried to back a trailer, load a trailer up on the hitch by yourself, it's a chore backing up, getting in and out of the vehicle. This becomes your one-shot wonder. It's very easy to back up and hook up to a trailer. From an interior packaging improvement, we went out and we talked to our current customers and asked them what they thought about the slide recline seats on our Crew Max cab. And what they came back and said to us is, they're nice, but I'd rather have more storage. So we changed the rear seat to a tip-up design instead of the slide recline design. It helped us lower the cargo floor by 11 inches and increase the storage capacity by 262 square inches. From our ventilated seat, we wanted to improve the efficiency of our ventilated seat. So for the cushion, we increased the airflow for the seat to promote cooling. On the back, we changed the airflow direction. And one of the things we found out is just blowing more air on the back or the upper torso doesn't help cool the occupant down as much as pulling the air away and promoting evaporation of moisture on the upper torso. So the combination of blowing up and then bringing that air through the back through the seat truly helps cool the body down more efficiently. From our power and capability of our truck, what we heard from the market is that we have a very efficient power plant, and what I will share with you is our engine was the most advanced engine in 2007 when we launched it. We have recalibrated the engine, we have changed some of the internal hardware, and we still have one of the most advanced engines on the market. And the question about fuel economy that comes up, we look at fuel economy, our calibrations helping with fuel economy, improved aerodynamics on the vehicle. The interesting thing is we hear a lot about small displacement V6 turbos and how effective they are. And we are also hearing about new V6 engines. We have a V6 engine. But when we look at real world fuel economy, and these aren't our results, what we're seeing is a small displacement turbo, a high efficiency V6, they're all getting about 15 miles a gallon. Our 5.7 liter engine with 381 horses, 15 miles a gallon. One of the things I can share with you about the towing, we went out and did some towing on fuel economy. And for small displacement turbos, they supply all the power in the world, but turbocharged engines generate a lot of heat. To cool the engines down, we have to increase the air-fuel ratio on the engines. Basically put more fuel into the engine to cool the catalyst down. And what that translates into, especially under load, is poor fuel economy. So we lean our engine out. They're using more fuel in a towing condition, around 9,000 pounds on our vehicle versus their vehicle. We're actually getting better fuel economy. In a towing situation, they are almost 20%. Continuing on with the towing situation, I'm happy to announce that the SAE J2807 standard, we were first to be compliant with that in 2011. Our new truck is still compliant with that standard. We sat down across the table. The standard isn't a Toyota standard. This is a SAE standard. It's written by all the OEMs. We sat down at the table, as I was mentioning, and all hammered out the standard to ensure that what we publish that our trucks can do, our trucks actually can do that. And for me, this is about safety for our customers. I was asked the other day, do you think your customers care if you tell them it's compliant to J2807? And my honest answer back is, it's not, for me, a marketing thing to offer my customers. As chief engineer, this is truly about the safety. Am I promoting the overuse of my vehicle, or am I promoting the actual capability of my vehicle? And part of our DNA, and something that you'll all get experience with today if we choose to, is we have an off-road course out here, but we pride ourselves with our off-road capability. You saw the 4Runner, you see it here. We improved the aerodynamics of our truck, the easy aerodynamic improvement on the front end is to make sure we got it air dammed, get the truck as low as possible, but that affects the off-road capability, and we want to make sure that we maintain that. That's part of our heritage. So approach angle on our truck remains best in class. And then also to help with the capability of the truck, we created a brand new tire with Michelin that we have a patented tread and sidewall pattern on, and we also increase the coefficient of friction on this tire to improve the grip for our off-road package. We have some trucks out there that you can try the new tire on. We also heard from the market, the voice of our customers, that said they prefer Michelin tires on their vehicles over some of our other brands. So our standard tire now is a Michelin tire. We also changed the coefficient of friction on that tire to improve our braking distance as well. From a ride handling standpoint on our suspension, our shock absorbers, we've changed the valving in our shock absorbers to improve our secondary dampening. Our steering, we've changed the valving in the steering and the preload on our steering to improve the straight line stability and reduce driver fatigue. And then this is maybe somewhat of a personal story or personal request. As I mentioned, I own a farm. I have high school students working for me. My truck has a backup camera, and they still manage to back it into hay wagons. I've replaced the bumper on my truck 3 times. And as we started this project, I went to the bumper engineers, and I said, guys, I want the thickness of the steel increased on the bumper because I'm sick and tired of replacing my bumpers. And so they went back and studied it, and they did exactly what I asked them to do. They increased the thickness of the bumper steel. They put a steel truss design behind that bumper, but they also came back and said, hey Mike, we want to split this bumper in 3 pieces. And I said, well, why would you want to do that? And they said, well, because somebody will still end up damaging your bumper. If you ever tow a vehicle sometime or another, you always end up backing into the trailer hitch. And they said, when you damage the bumper, you only need to replace a portion of it. So the repair cost is substantially less than replacing that whole 1-piece bumper. I think this is a great solution to my request to our bumper guys. And then finally, talking about the aerodynamics of the vehicle, we've implemented our Vortex generators on this truck. What the Vortex generators do is on a vehicle, when you drive any vehicle down the road, especially a full-size truck, you're splitting the air. The air, instead of following the vehicle, the air splits off. And it creates vacuums down the side of the vehicle. So as you're driving, if you've ever driven, especially around 2 semis, you feel your vehicle is a little bit unstable. That's that vacuum that's being created by the air splitting off the front.